I'm on a bit of a roll today because there's so many things that I'm seeing and hearing and reading that I think, oh, no, really? I'm like the roller coaster of news. And a few things that I know that you will like. And I've wheedled these out a bit because, I think at the minute they're not headline news, but they probably should be. And the one that made my blood boil is this. China have told Angela Rayner she must accept new Chinese super embassy without full blueprints. Now, an embassy, we're having a super embassy apparently, and China have told Angela Rayner that she must accept it without any blueprints. How and why? Why? Why would we even want to accept it without blueprints? Why would it even be a thing? Why would you need to say that unless there was something that somebody shouldn't be seeing or shouldn't be happening? And what will Angela Rayner do? Well, obviously, she'll bend over and say, okay. I can't imagine Ange ever for a second standing up to China and going, no, that's not a thing. This is due process and protocol. But of course, this is the Labour Party, so they will give in to China and there will be a new super embassy and Angela Rayner will have given them, basically she'll cut the ribbon, won't she? So that was the first thing. The second thing that has really got my goat, you know that I'm not a fan of net zero. I think it's an absolute waste of time, money, energy. I don't think it's worth the paper it's written on. I think it's so counterintuitive. It's insane. We're importing coal from Japan. Yep. We could do it ourselves, but no. We're importing it from Japan on massive tankers that are going to undo any carbon capture that we could possibly dream of. But the next thing that I saw, which again, all of these little nuggets just get lost in the back pages, but I think this should be in the front pages. So a northeast factory closes as manufacturing jobs are shipped out to Greece and France. So Labour have opted to send pipes for one of its eco projects to Europe over the northeast. Now, if I do my funny two screeny thing, so excuse my eyeline a minute, but it's difficult to read and look. So a British factory, we're talking about Waistco Coatings UK, have told, they told GB News that they will now have just 4 weeks of work left, after which their order book will be empty. Staff say it's heartbreaking to know that the pipes for carbon capture and storage will now be coated overseas when the work could have been completed in Hartlepool. Jonathan Brash, what do you say about that? The factory is now nearing closure after government contracts were given to firms in France and Greece. The decision not to award the factory the target contract goes against manifesto pledges made by Labour and now Secretary of State for Energy Security and Net Zero, Ed Miliband, in the last election manifesto. The party promised to generate new high-quality jobs and reward clean energy developers like Waistco Coatings UK for building in industrial heartland supporting British industry through the green transition period. Yet while factory workers face job losses in Hartlepool, the Northern Endurance Partnership NEP, which is accountable to the UK government's framework and tasked with green growth and contract, this is all just like a word salad, claims it's still on track to meet its ambition of more than 50% local content. But it may be on track to meet more than 50% local contract, but if they hadn't shipped this out to France and Greece, we could have had maybe 70% local contract. Now, wouldn't that be better? Why do we have to settle for 50%? Why are we shipping out something that we can do in this country? And God knows we need the jobs, we need the income, we need the revenue. Obviously so that Rachel can tax the living shit out of it, but we need it. Why are we even contemplating sending this overseas? And if somebody turns around and says to me, well, it's because it's probably cheaper overseas, sure, it is cheaper overseas. How do you resolve that? It's not difficult, is it? You resolve that by, do you know what? Let's not even go down that road because I'll get, my blood pressure will go through the roof. The dog could work out how we would resolve that and probably do it far more efficiently than Rachel Reeves and is significantly nicer to look at. No, well, yeah, actually offence intended. So there you go. That really, really pulled my chain. All this flannel that we are given, the Labour Party are, I don't even know if they want us to believe it anymore. They know that we don't believe it. They know that we actually don't believe a word that comes out of their mouths. But all this flannel about how they're on the side of the working person, well, piss off. You've just sent the working person's jobs over to France and Greece, you dimwits, for Ed Miliband's ridiculous, stupid net zero carbon capture policy, which the only thing it captures is his stupidity in one policy. Whew, there we go. Glad I got that off my chest.